let's get into left and right foot passing. The biggest thing with this technique is to make sure we're using the side of our foot to punch the ball with a locked ankle and making sure that our hips are facing our target. Another thing is to make sure that your touch is out in front of you rather than underneath you. So when we go into the slow-mo example, you'll see I try to keep the ball out in front of me so it's easier to pass the ball again. Locking my ankle and punching the ball comes back, I take my touch and the ball is out in front of me so I can nice and easily pass the ball again. This exercise is going to be similar to the last one, and now we're going to use the inside of our foot to punch the ball forward towards our target. However, this time we're going to alternate our feet, so we're going to go right foot to left and left foot to right. And the biggest thing is to make sure that you keep the ball close to you and use the inside of your foot to control it. So as the ball comes back, I use the inside of my right foot to shift it over to my left foot, and then use the inside of my left foot to give a nice punch and a nice pass to the wall, and then shift it back over to my right. So with this one, we're just going to drop the ball and then using the top of our foot, punch it towards the wall, trying to make sure it doesn't bounce on its way. Biggest thing is locking our ankle and hitting the ball at the top of our foot. There we go, lock the ankle and punch the ball forward. With this next one, I don't punch it as well. Don't make great contact. You can see the ball doesn't have the same flight, but right there I make up for it. And with my left, I make up for it again with a nice flick, a nice punch, and the ball should hit the wall easily. All right, so we worked on volleys with the top of our foot, but now we're going to work with the side of our foot. Very similar to our passing, where we're going to use the side of our foot, punch the ball, lock our ankle, and strike the ball again so it's not bouncing on the way to the wall or to our partner. Again, aim for the middle of the ball. So I strike the middle of the ball with the side of my foot, locking my ankle, giving it a nice punch. And giving that ball that nice little punch is going to allow it to travel the distance I need to the wall. All right, now we get into juggling. So when we're juggling, you don't need to try to scoop the ball first. Let's just drop it on the ground and then begin. The biggest thing when you're juggling, similar to a top foot volley, is we want to use the top of the foot, and instead of punching the ball out, we want to punch the ball up. Alright, so working on our juggling flicks is going to allow us to juggle without having to pick up the ball and drop it. With this exercise, you're going to want to drag the ball back and then use your toes to kind of stab and scoop the ball up so that it's high enough in the air that you can use the top of your foot to then keep juggling. Again, when we juggle, it's almost like we're top of the foot volleys, except we're now going to be pushing the ball straight up into the air rather than towards a partner. Now with the L turn, we're going to use that drag back, and then we're going to use the inside of our foot in order to drag it over. So as you can see, I drag the ball all the way past my standing foot, using the inside of my foot to then push it over to my left-hand side. Drag back, inside of the foot to push over. And we'll see it better on this left-hand side here, how I drag the ball all the way past my standing foot in order to then push the ball over with the inside of my kicking foot. So with toe taps, we want to touch the ball with both feet, using the balls of our feet to touch the ball. We want to be nice and light on our feet, right? And as you can see in this slow-mo here, we're touching with the balls of our feet, jumping up and down. All right, drag backs. So we're going to keep this exercise super simple and simply drag the ball back in a straight line. What we want to do is put our foot on top of the ball like our toe taps and just pull the ball towards us with that kicking foot. Again, putting our foot on top of the ball like a toe tap and simply dragging the ball towards us. This is going to help with our L turns and our V drags. So forward flicks are going to be the opposite of a drag back. But we're going to start with our foot on top of the ball like a drag back, but flick the ball forward. Again, going in a straight line, I put my foot on top of the ball like a toe tap, and I just flick the ball with the underside of my foot as I move forward. Now we're going to do our drag backs, but do them a bit faster. Again, using the top of our foot to start the movement, I'm just going to pull it a little bit quicker as I move back, kind of bouncing on my feet. So as you can see, my foot's on top of the ball and I drag it back. Now we're going to work on our forward flicks, doing it a little bit faster. Again, using the top of our foot to start the movement and just flicking the ball as we move forward, alternating feet. Again, top of the foot rolls the ball forward, flicks it forward. Next up we have V-drags, which is one of my favorite drills. What we're going to do is a simple drag back and then push the ball with our opposite foot. So as you can see here, I drag the ball back with my left and push it over the inside of my right foot. And then I drag the ball with my right foot and push it with the inside of my left foot. Note how the bottom of my foot has to get top of the ball and drag the ball back before I can push it over. Very similar to what we're working on with our regular drag backs and what we're working on with our toe taps. Here's my point of view so you can see it a little bit more clearly. Again, top of the foot on the ball, I drag the ball back and I push the ball with the inside of my foot to the other side. Dribble, stop, and go. So with this one, again, similar to what we're doing with our toe taps, we're stopping the ball using the bottom of our foot, and after we stop the ball, we're exploding through the movement. So as you can see here, stop the ball, the bottom of our foot using the cleat, and then using the top of my foot to push the ball forward away from the defender. Alright, now we're working on our turns, and with the turn, the biggest piece is to use your back as a shield and the inside of your foot to get around the ball and shield away from your opponent. We're going to imagine that there's an imaginary opponent right there that we turn away from. So as we go in slow-mo, I'm dribbling. I use the inside of my foot to move the ball away from my opponent, and then I show my opponent my back and get between my opponent and the ball as I burst away. Working on our Cruyff turns, this is very similar to a regular turn, except we're going to fake a shot and then use the inside of our foot to push the ball behind our standing leg. So as we go into slow-mo, I fake a shot with my right foot and then use that foot to drag the ball using the inside of my foot behind my standing leg, and then show my opponent my back and move away. Alright, now we're working on our fake shot. So with this one, you really want to sell the fake, you really want your opponent to think that you're shooting the ball, and then after you make them think you're shooting the ball, use the inside of your foot to shift that ball right to the side over to your opposite foot. So I use the inside of my foot and I push that ball to the side away from my defender. Next up, we're working on our ball rolls, moving side to side, using the bottom of our foot on top of the ball and then dragging our foot across the ball to the opposite side. So as we go into slow-mo, notice how I'm putting the bottom of my foot on the ball like a toe tap, and then when I roll the ball over, I roll it in front of me, in front of my standing leg, so that I can then take a touch with the bottom of my opposite foot. Now we're working with forward ball rolls, so instead of going side to side, we're going to be going towards our opponent. And very similar, we're using the bottom of our foot, using our studs to roll the ball forward and then place our foot on top of the ball to stop it. So I roll the ball forward with the studs and I keep the ball on the outside of the foot that I roll it with. You don't want the ball to cross you. Now once you get comfortable with the forward roll, you can work on the forward roll and flick. This is a bonus. So we're going to roll the ball forward and then use the outside of our foot, almost like an outside cut, to just flick the ball away. So I roll and then I flick the ball away with the outside of my foot. Forward roll and outside cut, this is one of my favorites. And with this one, you want to roll the ball to control it and then use the outside of your foot to cut and explode away from your opponent. So again, here I roll the ball and then use the outside of my foot to cut away from the opponent into space. So we have another angle here from my point of view. I roll the ball forward and again using that outer part of my foot to move away from the defender. So when I roll the ball, it's towards my defender, and when I use my outside cut, it's away into space. So here's an example of what the roll should look like. and then the roll with the flick. Next up, we're going to be working on our first touch from a ball dropped out of the air. I'm going to call this one a Berba after Dimitar Berbatov. And this one's super simple. We're just going to pick up the ball, throw it in the air, and then try to control it as it comes down. Now, as we control it, we want to use the top of our foot, like in this image, the very top of your foot, and lightly bring the ball down. As you can see here, my eyes are always on the ball as the ball goes up into the air and comes down. And right before it comes down, I use the top of my foot to control it smoothly onto the ground.